Hi, today I'll be talking about the evidence of and the roots of nonverbal communication. I will be using sources from our book, Nonverbal Communication and Human Interaction, written by Knapp et al. Um, Basically, the author, chose 5 topics that he wanted to talk about and basically not prove, but enhance the theory of nonverbal communication and where it comes from. I think this is such an important topic because we do certain things very differently, and there's reasoning behind why we do things differently. And I think it's really good to study that because we can know what people are thinking by just their body. And I just think Knapp really focused on all the aspects around that. Basically, so I said he had 5 topics that he loved to talk about and he wrote about in the book. The first one is sensory deprivation. Basically, he just studied blind and deaf children and how they non-verbally communicate, and if they get nonverbal communication from their family or from other people, and how do they get that. He just this part of the chapter was studied by somebody. I do not want to pronounce their name, because I don't want to butcher it, but it starts with the E. And they are the ones that published this part of the book. And he basically said he discovered that deaf and blind children show similar patterns of movement established by sighted children. So basically, he's saying that blind and deaf children also experience what sighted children do. So it's not really nonverbal communication is nonverbal. Like, you don't need to know anything about speaking, about seeing anything. Your body will kind of exude it, and that's genetics, and that's where they learn from the parents, learn from just a bunch of people. And then another one is evidence from infants, and this is basically, do infants have nonverbal communication out of the womb? It's arguing that infants learn from odors and they react to their mother's environment better than anyone else's. There was the study within the book. They brought the babies like their mother and then not their mother, and they reacted differently. So people think it's the odors. Newborn babies are born ready to process certain nonverbal cues that they could not have learned in utero. So basically, they just, like, when their mom does one thing, they understand it, and we're not really sure how they understand it, but it goes along with the genetic thing, because nonverbal communication could be genetic, and that's kind of what this chapter is about. Another one is evidence from twin studies. Obviously, twins are from the same egg, or fraternal and identical, or both twins, but they're conceived differently. And this study basically compared and contrasted identical and fraternal twins, and they did conclude that identical twins definitely mimic the same nonverbal cues. And then the second to last one is evidence from human primates. Primates and humans are very similar with their non-verbal movements. One example is that both non-human primates and people are less likely to gaze at co-specific people. Basically, it's just arguing that primates and humans have a lot of the same nonverbal communication, and people don't know whether this is from the early age or this is just what they are. But humans and primates definitely do the same nonverbal cues a lot. Sorry. Evidence from multicultural studies. This is basically about cultures from all around the world and how they communicate differently and how they verbally communicate. Is it different? Is it the same? Is it so? This concluded that different places are different, but they all kind of have the same root, like with eye rolls or smirks or shrugs. They're portrayed different, but all around the world they're also portrayed different, but there's always a root, and this is arguing that it's genetics, and it's passed around through different generations. So I did have to focus in on one topic that I really wanted to go into, and I chose evidence from infants. I thought this was really cool because, like, it's basically saying that infants know nonverbal comm before they even can be verbal. And that's kind of what's helping the theory of nonverbal communication being genetic and being so different that you just learn, because it's your kind of your instinct. So my first article is from the Learning Institute, and it's basically saying that their gestures are not learned, that they are genetic, like waving their hands and legs, and like when babies coo and stuff like that. They know that's a sign of distress, and they know that that's how they can show their mother or their father or whoever's taking care of them what they need, and that's a form of nonverbal. And then the second article I had was by the Nursery World, and it says that babies learn from their mom's nonverbal cues, like sighs and shrugs. Babies like to mimic that from their mother, and that's learned. So kind of the two articles are kind of different. So one says genetics, one says learned. So I just kind of, it meets in the middle. It's just some's learned, some genetics, and I just thought that was just really interesting and how babies can do that. But yeah, I really enjoyed researching this topic. Thank you.